#1 man in the world. His name is Stran Smith. Reach and stick. Down the road to the cab. Go. Spring it time. Spring it time. Yes, you are. Oh. Oh, man. Give it 6 seconds. It is official. Is there any love in the house for Stran? Lay a little of that 20X love on Mr. 20X. Oh, wow.
Oh, he definitely has the eye of the tiger, 7-2.
Bring it home, Texas. Let's go, Stran Smith. Get you some Nevada momentum. Do it, a 7-3. That he was in the 8th round would only win him a 2nd. Can somebody be 6-6 and beat Cody O? This will be the last man to have a chance to try it. Reach, go, watch it down, hurry, it's coming. We're out of there. Oh boy! Oh, watch the time. Watch the time. This is not the cap to have done that on. It's gonna work. 6-8. That's try, buddy.
My name's Stran Smith. I'm a professional calf roper. I've been doing this for about, about 12 years now, and I've been a Christian since I was 5. I knew it at an early age. I didn't understand a lot of things, but I understood that I needed Jesus Christ in my life, and it seems like my whole life has been, I don't want to say easy, but at an early age, it seemed like everything was easy. You know, I guess until '96, really, I hadn't had a lot of things that had ever happened to me very negative as far as a loss or dealing with things that I'd always been the guy on the other side, you know, the guy that was always reaping the blessings of life. And in '96, I'd been rodeoing for a couple of years, been very successful. I'd made the national finals in '95. '96, it seemed like that, man, I was under heavy attack from the devil. Early in '96, I lost my granddad, and less than 6 months later, I lost my grandmother. And somewhere in there, in the middle of that, lost my horse. Then in August of '96, I was in a car wreck. My best friend, Sean McMullen, another calf roper, was killed instantly when a drunk driver hit us head on in the middle of the night. She was driving on the wrong side of the interstate with her lights off, and he went on to be with the Lord right then. And it seemed like then I went ahead and I went to, I kept trying to rodeo, and Sean's family was very supportive of me. It was strong, you need to rodeo for, Sean's memory, and my family was very supportive of me. You need to get back out there and keep going. And I tell you what, with all these things compiled to someone that had never lost hardly anything, all this just right in a row is almost more than what I could handle. And the whole time, that was the ironic thing to me. I kept thinking, and I even said it to myself, was that, if this was going to happen to somebody, I'm the perfect person for it to happen to, because I'm strong in the Lord and I can handle it. And I didn't have any idea exactly what I was saying, really how I would grab God and I'd say, okay, God, let's run over here. Let's go over here. And I was always pretty much in control and not completely surrendered over to letting God completely have His way. And I learned from that time period, from the middle of '96 till December of '96, what it was like to truly lay down everything at the foot of the cross and to surrender, to surrender myself to the Lord completely. Not, you know, my whole life up until this point has been almost what you'd call easy life, you know. And, you know, it's easy whenever somebody sticks a microphone in your face and say, well, okay, well, what do you credit this victory to, Stran? And you say, oh, you know, I'll give all the glory to the Lord, you know. Well, that's easy. It's easy to be the model citizen, the perfect Christian, whenever everything you're dealing on the blessing side of everything. But whenever you get to the spot to where in your life to where you truly you're broken and you can't handle it, and you have to surrender, lay down you come to the Lord, and when you really truly, and you know, it's a, you know, when people say, you know, you fall on your face before God. I know what it's like to fall on my face before God. I literally fall down on my face before God and say, you know, Lord, I can't handle this. I can't deal with this. All this hurt, all this pain, I can't deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I want you to please just take it away from me. Please. You said you would. Now, please do it. And to be able to feel all these things and all this sorrow and hurt and pain, and to be able to lay it down on the Lord and actually feel Him put His hands and His arms around you, and Him take the lead, and Him take control, and Him take that hurt and that pain, that sorrow, and to use it for the positive. And that's what it seems like in my lifetime, that I've tried to group everything into two groups. Either it's positive or it's negative. God's the ultimate positive. Satan, of course, is the ultimate negative. And everything can be grouped into two different categories. It's either positive, it's of God, or it's negative, it's of the devil. And there's no gray area, there's no in between. And I've tried to always have the definite line there. If I think it's gray, oh, this is gray area. No, if it's not of God, it's of the devil. And I've always felt like that if you could take a negative, something that the devil meant for the ultimate negative, death, pain, hurt, suffering, more important than that, a tragedy with Christians, with God's children, or any negative. You can go on down the line. It doesn't have to be a death, but if you can take a negative that the devil fires at you, and you can take it and you can use it for the positive, you can use it and you can say, okay, I'm going to take Sean's death. My Christian brother was taken out by a drunk driver and we take that and use it for the positive. You use Sean's memory, you use Sean's legacy, you use Sean's witness for the kingdom of God, then what an ultimate positive it becomes, because now you've taken something that the devil meant to kill, steal, and destroy, and you've taken it, you've turned it around, and you've given it back to God and said, okay, God, now you take this and you use it for your glory, your kingdom. And at Sean's funeral, I was a pallbearer, and he was a huge. Sean's, you know, he's in the prime of his life. He's 26 years old at the time, and he was in Texas. I went all over the rodeo world, and everybody knew who he was. If you was a rodeo fan, you knew who Sean was. Still do, probably. So at his funeral, there was probably 5,000 or 6,000 people. They had it at the high school gymnasium, and I was sitting up on the stage. I was a pallbearer, unrehearsed completely. I was just sitting there, and it just come over me. In between songs, I just stood up and I walked up there. And then, you know, this big of a funeral, it's pretty well organized. I just stood up and walked up to the microphone, and I said, you know, this is not a sad day. I said, Sean McMullen is in heaven right now. I know beyond a shadow of doubt that he was a Christian, and that's where he's at right now. But the only way this is a sad day is here in a minute, when you walk by this casket right here and you look at Sean, and if you're not a Christian, this is a sad day for you. because unless you accept Christ as your Savior, you'll never see Sean McMullen again. So take a good look at him. And for you, my friend, this is a sad day. And the preacher came up and spoke after me, and he gave the plan of salvation. They had an altar call. I can't remember how many people were saved at Sean's funeral, but it was in the hundreds of people that gave their life to Christ. And I thought about that since, and I thought, you know, the ultimate negative, Sean's death, I thought, was the ultimate negative. And when you just let God have control and loose the power of the Holy Spirit, it was something that was an impact that, you know, reached. There was literally hundreds of people saved just that one day because of the opportunity that was presented there, that maybe people that would have never accepted Christ.
Speaking of number 1, in round 4, he took it with 7 and 4, and right now that would be the lead. Stran Smith, 7 trips to the show, 2 times the Coors Original fans' favorite Cowboy. Stran, come on, do it. They want it. Gather them. Come on, get her done. Get her done. Oh. He's thinking it was an instructional video, but it was effective. We look to the numbers, we look to the nod. 7.9 seconds. There's your new leader. Tips his hat, and boy, there's nothing wrong with that Cowboys heart.
Stran Smith says, I want the world title and I'm coming for it. Reach 30-foot of rope. Fast hands on the all-around, man. Do it.
Okay, there it is again. 1 wrap and a half inch. When we talk about taking 2 wraps and a tie, the 23-year-old AQH, it's okay. It's okay. It stayed for the 6. It's okay. Take it at 7-3. Put him number 2. What do you say? I said it's okay.
Going with my career, it's just, you know, it's one blessing after the next. It's just dominoed. My life is so blessed. I got married and had probably the greatest blessing of my lifetime, my wife. Things are just clicking and rolling. Everything's just so great. And one day I start to practice there, and it's an 0-2. I'm going to practice right there at my house. And talking to a lady that's working for me, and as I'm talking here, I kind of slurred a word, and I said, and I asked her, I said, sound like I'm having a hard time talking to you? She's like, no, not really. So I tried to repeat that. I tried to say, it doesn't sound like I'm having a hard time talking? And when I tried to repeat that, nothing would come out. I couldn't get a word, no noise would come out of my mouth. And I was like, what in the world, what's wrong with me? You know, and she's like, sit down. And so I instantly, I guess I was aware that something was wrong. So I started touching my fingers, touching my toes, and I'm everything, I can still feel everything. Everything's fine. Nothing changed at all. I just couldn't talk.